Hey everyone, this is DC Howard, founder and principal coach of Wayineers, where we're able to calculate your route to your destination of success. And we are back for yet again another Tactic Thursday. Tactic Thursday is where we're able to discuss an issue or matter that you may be dealing with personally, professionally, or relationally, and how to overcome that matter. And so today we're going to be talking about the blessing of frustration. The blessing of frustration. And so just literally in that title, that automatically becomes a little bit of a paradox because you're saying frustration is usually a negative thing, but a blessing is usually a positive thing. And so how do those two align or come together? Well, I'll give a quick example of how those two come together and then be able to discuss a little bit further. If you've ever been able to see an oyster or a mussel or a clam, they are able to actually produce pearls. Well, how do they produce those pearls? Well, the pearls are produced when something gets into their system and it becomes a foreign body. And then they actually are able to develop a defense mechanism that becomes this wonderful, very, very clear, but very, very powerful body in order to make sure that that irritant or that foreign body is no longer in their system. And then they excrete it, making a beautiful and magnificent pearl. Well, the same way I want to be able to talk about today of how we're able to have the blessing of frustration. What a lot of times we don't think about is that frustration actually is a good thing. You're saying, DC, how can you say frustration is a good thing? Frustration is a good thing because it allows you to understand that something needs to change. If we never got frustration on a personal, professional, or relational standpoint, we would continue doing the exact same thing, possibly expecting different results, which I know many of you have heard is the definition of insanity. But when we're frustrated, it challenges us to change one of three things that we'll talk about today. One of three things, rather. And so number one, when you're frustrated, I would first challenge you to see if you need to change your perspective. A lot of times when we're frustrated, we're looking at a situation or we're looking at a matter in one particular way. And what we need to do is to be able to look at it from a different side or possibly elevate how we look at it or even come from a bottom-up perspective. That may mean that we may have to talk with individuals that are around us, whether that's our significant others, whether that's our colleagues, whether that's our boss, whether that's a pastor, a counselor, a therapist, etc. But sometimes it is so very vital that we're able to go out there and get a different perspective. Because if we're able to get a different perspective, then possibly the matter or the issue that we're dealing with that has been frustrating us won't frustrate us at the level that it did before, or even that frustration disappears. The second thing that I would say when it comes to being able to realize that frustration is a blessing is that sometimes it means that we need to change our position. How many times that we've been in relationships or we've been at jobs or we've even had things going on internally that we realize that, you know what, in order for us to be able to overcome this frustration, maybe I need to change my position and how I deal with this. So for instance, if we know that we are needing to lose weight or we're wanting to change how we feel about our bodies, then we go about going to the gym more often, or we go about eating differently. When it comes to dealing with a friend or a significant other that we realize may not be good for us emotionally, that we then begin to put distance in that relationship or in that matter. When it comes to dealing with our jobs and where we find as if that we're dealing with frustration, we may need to put distance. We may need to change our position, where that means looking at going and working at a different department, being able to be assigned to a different project, or if you feel as if that is the case, possibly even looking at changing jobs and our careers, because that's a sign with that frustration that it was time for us to move. And then thirdly, and this is my final point that I would make, is that frustration also can mean that maybe we need to change our principles. We need to change what is the principle that we're dealing with. What do I mean by that? I mean by that is that a lot of times that whether we're dealing with personal, professional, or relational matters, we're trying to go about being right. And notice what I said, we are trying to go about being right. And the reality is that you're getting frustrated because you're not seeing how you are right in that personal, professional, or relational matter. And maybe you need to change the principle to, how can this be the best for all parties involved? Or how can this be the best for this other person, for myself, for this job, for this relationship? Or how can this be the best for my children, for my spouse, for any and all that are involved? And a lot of times, if we're willing to change our principle, then the frustration also gets released as well. And then because we're able to deal with that frustration in a constructive way, then we're able to see the blessing that happens when we change our principle, when we change our position, or we're able to change our perspective. I hope this has been a great help to you. Of course, you can always feel free to book a session with us at Wayineers. As your founder and principal coach, DC Howard, a certified life coach. I'm here to help you when it comes to life coaching, career coaching, relationship coaching, or consulting in any of those areas. You can catch us at www.wayineers.com. You can also reach out to us on Facebook with our page at Wayineers, as well as Instagram with our page at Wayineers as well. Have a great rest of your day. And once again, we here at Wayineers want to make sure you reach your destination of success by calculating your route. Have a good one.